Toastmaster of the day, Indiraja. Hello, Toastmasters and guests. Humor is one of the most important traits that you can have as an individual, and especially if you are a public speaker. It helps us to engage with the audience and also keep them, keep them on your track as long as you speak in front of public. To educate us about the nuances of humor, we have a man with different facets in his public career. First of all, he's a well-known trainer engaged by corporates like TCS and many other organizations. He's also a trainer in some of the prestigious institutes like the Harvard Law School, and he has addressed the Wharton Business School. He is a regular faculty at IIMs and Indian School of Business. That's the first facet. Secondly, he is a well-known public speaker. He has spoken at 5 TEDx forums in different parts of the world. And more importantly for us, he is an avid Toastmaster who has himself started 12 Toastmasters clubs in the different parts of India. I have had the honor of knowing him for many years now, and I have also heard his keynote speeches in multiple forums, including District Toastmasters annual conferences in Dubai and other places. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our keynote speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Chendil Kumar. CK, the screen is yours.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Is my volume okay, or do you want me to pump it up a bit more? Fine? Great.
It's audible, sir. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Now, you may think this is a bit irritating. Why is this guy checking each time? But I'm very cautious because last time I was speaking continuously for 10 minutes and I saw a message on the chat. Is the speaker saying something? So then I realized the problems of technology, and you have to be very careful. When Safir said Chendil Kumar has sponsored 12 clubs, I wanted to thump my chest. But in the introduction, I think one of your members has been on a spree of introducing so many clubs. So I stand very humble in front of him and say, yes, it is a part of the journey and not necessarily a destination. Welcome to this session on stand up, speak up, and shut up. The art of using humor in public speaking. Give me a moment while I load the PPT and then we'll get started. I hope all of you can see this.
Yes, sir.
So this was something that I coined, the stand up, speak up, and shut up. I coined in my first session in Colombo, with whom I'm going to have a session just this evening. They gave me the first exposure, but my entire, the concept of stand up, speak up, and shut up was refined when 3 wonderful people helped me to spread this in the Middle East. I hope you recognize this smart young man here, in those flowing robes. Your division director, Safir Aziz. And the other one is Shaukat Ali Irot. I am not sure if he's very active in the Toastmasters fraternity, but I believe he's got into politics. And the person who's showing his back is another distinguished Toastmaster, VP Menon, who still continues to hog the limelight in Dubai Toastmasters. VP Menon or Dubai Toastmasters had organized the first stand-up, speak-up, shut-up workshop, which went on for half a day. And Safid was one of the participants. I think, I have a suspicion that I might have done something good. This happened in 2009. If Safir remembers and still calls me, that means something good, right? So, if you don't like what you see now, the culprit is Safir. But if at all you like something, then you give the credit to me. all of course in jest. So let's get on to the topic directly by understanding the art of humor in public speaking. You are welcome to pose any questions in between, either through the chat window or by unmuting, because that's what will make this session much more, lively. First clarification is, this is not a session on stand-up comedy. There are two types. And stand-up comedy, the intention is to make the audience keep on laughing, gag after gag. And that requires tremendous talent. No way I can anyway match up to those people. But in today's session, what I'm trying to espouse is how any speaker can infuse humor and make his or her speech more likable and more lively. The operative word is infuse, not impose humor. Let's see how we go about this. See, when I crack a joke, I want you to laugh for, say, 10 to 15 seconds. When I use humor, I still want you to laugh for 10 to 15 seconds, but I want you to think for 15 minutes at least. So which means the humor will have some message that will be useful for you. Nothing motivational here. It may give you something to look forward to, a positive word or a proactive sentence. So that is going to be the focus. And towards the end, I believe you have a humorous speech contest coming up. Maybe I'll add a bit of sidelights on what you need to do, or how well should you prepare for a humorous speech contest. And I will try to extend the question answer time at least to 10 minutes, which means I will complete much earlier so that the interaction I feel will be much more beneficial rather than me simply dumping slides after slides. Remember this, wit punctures and humor nurtures. Unfortunately, in my opinion, most of what goes on as humor is designed to hurt somebody or insult somebody. I remember George Bernard Shaw was walking in a small narrow lane, and there was just a small log. He had to cross that. Only one person could step on at a time. On the other side, there was a haughty British gentleman with his supporters. So the challenge was, who has to go first? So the imperiously, the haughty British gentleman, he said, I don't give way for fools, because he wanted to go first. And Bernard Shaw just tipped his hat and said, he stepped out and said, but I do. It was a classic rebuttal. Although the initial supposedly joke was supposed to hurt Bernard Shaw, he took it in the right spirit and gave it back to him. So these things really are not what I consider humor. It really hurts you, right? In a Toastmasters meeting, for example, the president of a club where I was a member, one of the members said, I've never seen a chimpanzee in my life. And immediately the president said, don't worry, come home, you can see my wife. And he expected everyone to laugh. But it was a cringing statement, and we all put our heads in shame because we had met this wonderful lady, such a hospitable lady. We've never stepped out of his home without having some eatables or chai, and he has the indecency to call her a chimpanzee. Now, this is not wit. This is not humor. You don't, get into all. I hope you get the point. But what do you mean by humor nurturing the relationship? It should add value, maybe make everyone smile, and does not create any kind of a rift between the two parties. In my club, Smedley Speakers Society, I was playing the role of a general evaluator. The MC was a bright young girl, and she said, I'm going to ask 4 questions. Whoever answers all the 4 questions will get a gift hamper at the end of the meeting. So she asked the first 3, I was able to answer. So we thought I'm going to be getting the prize. The 4th question, I got stumped. She said, what is a female of a donkey called? I could not answer. Now, after her session was over, as she was about to announce the winners, and she was supposed to invite me to do the GE session, you know what she said? Oh, CK, I thought you're such a well-read man. You couldn't even answer this simple question. A second standard student would have answered this. Now, those days, it was the physical meeting, so I had to walk up to the dais. So I was wondering, so everybody was actually laughing. So I had to do something. So I said, thank you so much. Now I know why I could not answer this question. And I told the audience, look here, I was a very bright kid in school. And looking at my brightness, the school principal gave me a double promotion from first standard to third standard. I did not attend the second. Perhaps if I had attended the second standard, I would have been able to answer your question. Now, this was a pure cover drive, as they call it in cricket. Everybody enjoyed this. First thing is the joke was on me, and she also laughed. It did not create any kind of bad feelings. So I noticed that it nurtured the relationship, and the club members also felt this is a nice way when somebody openly tries to make fun of you. So use humor to nurture the relationship. But I'll give you 5 seconds to read this because I'm making an important point here through Charlie Chaplin. And then perhaps if any of you feel that I'm not built for humor, humor is not inherent in me, I want you to take comfort in this statement. I'll read it out for effect because I feel there is so much of value in this statement. To make an audience roar is the ambition of many actors, but I prefer to spread the laughs out. It is much better when there is a continual ripple of amusement with 1 or 2 big stomach laughs than when an audience explodes every minute or 2. Restraint is a great word. Personally, I prefer this kind of humor. My intention is not to bring the roof down every time I speak, but can I have something in between that people will enjoy? And my inspiration here is the co-founder of my club, Pramod Shankar. He's from Kochi, your own country. And he was giving his icebreaker. And you know what he said? I come from Kochi, one of the 3 big cities of Kerala, the other 2 being Abu Dhabi and Dubai. It instantly connected with all of us. Very simple. Not that it was a great joke or something, but the smiles continued for a long time. Yet another icebreaker by a girl called Anisha Mascarenas. She gave this icebreaker 15 years ago, but I still can't forget that. You know what she said? Man of my dreams, I don't want him to come on a white horse and all that. Just a BMW will do. And she said it so casually, it created smiles, perhaps a bit of amusement, but we will never forget this. So my preference is the continual ripple of amusement, perhaps 1 or 2 places where you make the audience laugh, but it is not compulsory that you have to have the audience getting up each time. So if any of you has the slightest sneaking suspicion that you're not cut out for humor, in fact, one of the famous statements I hear whenever I conduct the session is, no, CK, humorists are born. And my reply is only babies are born. All others can be made. So choose your style. I'm not saying that this is the only style. I'm only telling you I'm comfortable with this continual ripple of amusement. If you feel you're good in slapstick, if you think you're good in mimicry, or if you think you're good in facial contortions, go ahead, but choose what comes to you best. So what prevents you from standing up? Public speaking itself is quite a daunting task. And even among seasoned speakers, you will find that very few seasoned speakers volunteer to take part in humorous speeches or take part in humorous contests. Can someone tell me quickly, either by unmuting or by putting it on the chat window, what prevents you from standing up for giving a humorous speech? Forget the contests. forget the contest. Even while crafting a speech, many of us hesitate to use humor. What prevents you? Anyone?
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Yeah. I was asked to do the joke master session last week, but I didn't because I was worried whether the audience would actually laugh. That is the biggest fear. Like if you say something funny and nobody has any expressions on their face, that's like the worst thing that could happen, I feel.
Exactly. And let's see. Reena Rati says, crack a joke and not click amongst the audience. So which means the basic emotion that goes through is fear. What will happen? I have a decent image in my club and I don't want to get that, tossed around just because nobody laughs. Number one, the fear prevents most of us from using humor. The second, I think we think when we go up on stage, we feel the entire audience's focus is on us. Everybody's looking at you, waiting for the next word. But do you know something? The focus is not on you. Most of the audience is wondering, what would they do when they come on stage? They are more worried about their apprehensions and they secretly admire you for attempting even a joke master's role or even trying to crack some humor. And I'm telling you, this is the most safest platform for practicing humor. Just look at what happened in the previous segment. Our speaker, she had some technical glitches. But you see how the seniors were very patient and said, you gave her enough time, you gave her assurance and said, once she came back, she said, can I start? You said, okay, please start. And they were guiding her in a very, very supportive environment. So even in a Toastmasters, if your joke does not get a kind of appreciation, people will maybe after the meeting come up and tell you, perhaps the joke was already circulated in WhatsApp, or maybe the delivery was not good. Somebody will give you helpful tips, but nobody will mock at you. So that's why I'm telling you, get that fear out of your mind. And please remember, when you attempt humor, when you take up the joke master's role, you're doing something which most of the members are afraid to do. Why? They don't want their image to be, muddled. So take comfort in that. Take a lot of deep breath, drink lots of water, prepare yourself physically and say, I'm attempting what 90% of the public speakers dread, and go with that confidence, and you will see that there is a dramatic change. And I do not guarantee immediate success. No nirvana in the first step. You will still fail. You will still bomb. But please keep at it. Third time, fourth time, if you're able to get that ripple, as Charlie Chaplin says, you've met your objective. That is something you should aim for, and don't worry about not cracking in the first or second attempt. And what is the next step? Now that, okay, you listen to all this, you become slightly better, motivational, and you want to speak up. The two important factors that prevent people from speaking up is, where do I find the material and how do I deliver? Because many times people ask me, CK, when my other speaker cracks a joke, people laugh. And when I say the same thing, people are looking at me as if it is a funeral oration, the same audience. So I'm really worried. So apart from material and delivery, are there any other inhibiting factors for you to speak up? What barriers do you find now that you've decided to take part, or you've decided to use humor in your speech, project speech, or in a contest? Apart from material and delivery, are there any other issues that you face? Again, please use the chat window or unmute.
Yeah, my biggest fear is like whether I'll be able to properly execute the humor.
Okay. Again, you're talking about the fear is still overpowering, isn't it? Will I be able to?
Yeah, right? And moreover, whether the joke is just for me or will that make someone laugh?
Yes. Exactly. And Hari says, my fear is I'll hurt someone when I use humor. That is, that's why in the beginning itself, I said, be careful to learn the difference between wit and humor. You'll have to do some kind of a mock testing and then see, will it be taken in the right way or not? But the most important point that I want to make is, even without cracking a single joke, your speech can flop. Yes or no? Maybe because of lack of eye contact, no proper audio, or so many ways your speech can flop. So it is not just the humorous speakers who will fail. So once you have this confidence, now the points that Hari mentioned is something that we're going to address in a short while. Yes, exactly, Dr. Shirley. What looks as humor for me may not be humor for others. That is why the first step I would have told you in preparing is preparation, preparation, preparation. Know your audience first. What works with the Kerala audience may not necessarily work with Bangalore or even Singapore. So you need to do your due diligence. Prepare, prepare, prepare. If you ask a real estate person the one word for the success of his profession, he will say location, location, location. For a speaker, especially humor, your preparation, preparation, preparation. Ask as many questions as possible. What is going to be the composition of the audience? Are they going to be young people? Are they going to be old? What you should not be saying, what you should be saying. And the more and more preparation you do, you will find that your humor becomes almost focused. That's why I say, while using humor, the first thing we say is be a spotlight and not a floodlight. Some jokes, that's why it is very nicely said, humor is universal, but jokes are not. Remember this. So you need to work a lot, prepare well. It is okay if you fail the first time, at least you know to what extent you have to get up. So I'll give you some simple tips on how to prepare. In fact, some tips on the material. This is one book I would urge you to download, or even the division can download some copies and distribute to the clubs. It's an excellent resource for how any speaker can analyze all aspects of humor and then incorporate. It gives you a workable formula. It's not just some theory. And Jean Perret is an accomplished Toastmaster. I've listened to many of his audio recordings, and let me tell you, very, very user-friendly speaker. He just doesn't talk from the pulpit, but he makes so many concepts which are relatable, and that's why you will find this really good. Now, the same Jean Perret, as a corollary to this book, has come out with comedy writing workbook. This is available for free if you have a Scribd membership, SCRIBD. I'll just put it on the chat. Even otherwise, I think you can download it from the net. I'll be happy to give you the resources where, since I have an account with Scribd, it is free, but otherwise also you can download. This is an excellent workbook meant for anyone. You don't really need to go and search for any advisor. And look at the extent to which this is just a sample of the content. But if you look at the chapters, you have so much of it. Every aspect of joke writing or humor has been incorporated in this. Working with relationships, some of you may want to talk about imagery, how to use images, because in the virtual format, simply talking may not help. You may want to use images. I'll give you a small demo of how images can be very powerful in expressing a point and also becoming humorous. Working with alternate meanings. The same word may mean different things to different people. So all this is something you can get into this. Well, forgive a bit of immodesty here. Don't think I'm blowing my own trumpet. But there was a time I used to write an extensive blog before the advent of Facebook. Facebook really corrupted me. After that, I've not been getting into blogging very seriously. But I would urge you to visit my website and click on the blog, where I've written extensively on communication, public speaking, and humor. And under humor, I've given many resources to humor. In fact, you will find many resources like how to start your speech with an opening remark which has humor. So, in fact, this is not my original material. I collected from all my experiences. Definitely, if you're a serious student of humor, or if you just want to begin using humor, you will find these resources very, very helpful, apart from Jean Perret. I mean, make your choice. Here are 3 aspects of delivery which I want to tell you. If there is no you in humor, there is no humor in you, which means this is what we call as the classic self-deprecating humor. Now, I think it was Hari or someone who said, I may offend somebody. Okay, Radhika said, preconceived notions of the audience. Yeah, Hari said, I may be offensive to the other party. See, what happens here is when you crack jokes at yourself, you will not be offending anybody. It is only you're poking nose. It is a very safe bet to talk about. And don't think I'm just talking from just giving you advice. I'll give you, in my own case, I practice this. 10 years ago, I was getting wheeled into the Apollo Hospital's Bangalore Operation Theatre with 3 blocks in my heart. I had to go through a coronary bypass surgery, and I was just waiting to be wheeled inside the operation theatre. And at the last minute, my Toastmaster Club president, Asim Prohit, he came to just wish me. You see, Toastmasters, like the Hutch puppy, they follow you everywhere, making you safe passage. But of course, that was not his intention. He said, CK, don't worry, everything is going to be all right. Can you tell us a joke, please? And at that moment, I said, hey, Asim, the doctors have told me that I've got 3 blocks in my heart, 98%, 99%, and 100%. Not a single subject in school or college have I got these marks. He smiled, and the attendant was shocked. In Kannada, he said, sir, this is the first time in my 20 years of experience that a heart patient is cracking jokes and you are not terrified. I said, do I have a choice, my friend? I know that it has come. So rather than fret over it, let me at least poke fun. I'm telling you, self-deprecating humor acts as a wonderful tonic to go through your troubles and travails. So start with yourself, but be cautious. Don't make it a habit, because people will really think you're an idiot, but nobody will get offended because you're poking fun at yourself. That is the first part. The second, the more specific your humor, the more terrific it is. If you know, that is why I talked about making a thorough preparation, because some of you said, what if the other person does not understand, or what if the other person is offended? So the more preparation you do, and then you will find that you're able to relate to them in a nice manner. In fact, today's those 3 episodes of travel, I think the gentleman, Mr. Santosh, you were talking about a gentleman. You were all able to relate because you have all seen them. There's no point in talking about this. Let's say I'm invited by Jackie Chan in his club, and I go and talk about the backwaters of Kerala. Maybe the connect will not be there. So use specific humor which they will be able to relate to, and that will be a great way. Third, I fully empathize with the person who said, I refuse the joke master, because the worst thing that you can do is announce humor. The humor should come as a surprise. They should think you're doing everything normally, and it should come as a sudden jolt. I made the mistake once. I went to my club and said, look here, guys, I'm going to tell you a joke. One of the audience got up and said, CK, you tell us what you have to. We will tell you whether it is a joke or not. And so I think I can fully understand. I think, was it Shirley or someone who said, I refuse the joke master's role. But yes, I understand. But here I have a small solution. Don't tell your joke or humor with a straight face. Don't start getting excited. What happens when you say something with a straight face? If they laugh, it's a jackpot. If they don't, it was not meant to be a joke anyway. And you can continue as if nothing happened. So that is why the surprise element should always be retained. And after the audience starts laughing, then of course you should join the laughter. If you still keep a poker face, then they'll think something wrong with you or something wrong with them. Maybe they laughed at a very lousy joke or something. So these are the 3 important steps which I've noticed. And I'll show you how effectively images can be used. I picked this from a photography magazine. I'm sure you're not worried about the, the name of the movie, but this I've noticed this has worked very well in any context. And you know something, you can even use it for a serious message. Let's say you're talking about Swachh Bharat. For heaven's sake, please don't come and do all this outside. But at the same time, it also has an element of fun. And so please remember, you don't have to be necessarily funny to spot humor. You just need to observe. It is there everywhere. But we think we can find this only in joke books or only in WhatsApp forwards. Just look around, everywhere you have this. Let's take a look at this. I'm sure many of you must have seen this as a Facebook forward. Even I thought it was a crazy haircut. Once you look keenly, then you know that it's a coconut tree behind it. A bit of merriment, when you're forever stressed, a bit of a merriment, and it helps. This is something, for those who are not aware, of course, all of you know, Rahul Dravid, the Indian cricketer. Just read this. I was poor at maths, so I chose commerce. In second year of BCom, I decided to do a CA in case cricket didn't work out. After opening the first book, I doubled my efforts in cricket. I think I have used this because I know that I'm going to be talking to CA students. It's an indirect compliment to you. CA exams are very tough. You really need all the brains. And Rahul was the first one to realize that this is not meant for ordinary mortals, and he focused on cricket. Look at the fact that he has poked fun at himself. With his status, he needn't have revealed this. He could have said, I was a very bright kid in college or school. But look at how humble he is. At the same time, he says, this subject is beyond me. How we will not have, let me hope we will not have future cricketers from CASK Orators. Oh, yes, definitely. No, I think you have a bright bunch of people, so don't worry, Safir. Yeah. So I think you can use this effectively. In the virtual format, make sure it is not full of PPTs or images, but use images to highlight something, and that's what is going to be very helpful. Now, coming to the contest part, I want you to observe one thing. Content gets 55 points. Of course, you will have plenty of time to go through this because this is available. I will just tell you the highlight. First thing you need to remember in a humorous speech contest is it is not an assimilation of jokes. It is not a parade of jokes. You have to be at your efficacious best to make sure that you have a nice script, a well thought out structure. It has to have a theme and also have a support material. Please remember one simple formula to use this. Define, describe, and illustrate. Once you keep this in mind, your organization will come naturally. Define what you're going to speak about. Describe in a couple of words. Most important, give an example. So suppose I say, you should know your strength and you should not think you're useless in everything. I will make the point and then give the Rahul Dravid example and tell him, see, he knew his strength and he quickly moved on to the thing. Effectiveness, achievement of purpose. So was the humor effective? Or did you just crack it because you found a nice joke on internet? Attentiveness, of course, laughter also matters a lot because that's how you gauge the response. You can't expect people to be entertained if everybody's sitting and watching you like this. And of course, delivery gets quite interesting points. The body language, the speaking area, I think you know all this. The voice matters a lot. Never do it in a monotonous delivery. I'm sure you have your mentors giving all this. Here, I would give a lot of importance for manner, the directness, the enthusiasm with which you narrate something. All this will immediately catch up. Don't forget the simple principle in public speaking in general and also humor. Enthusiasm is contagious. Lack of enthusiasm is also contagious. So, finally, to do justice to the title, shut up before the audience asks you to. I think that's why in Toastmasters, we have this wonderful role player called the time manager, where we must learn to speak within the allotted time. I've gone to many public meetings. Speakers are exceptional, but they go on and on and on, and they become a real test to your patience. And that's why we have a wonderful system which helps us to rationalize, put our thoughts in a sequence and make sure we complete in 5 to 7 minutes or the time allotted. Because beyond that, it doesn't make much sense. So with this, thank you so much, and I'll stop sharing and I'll leave it open for some questions, which I think, or you can tell me what challenges you face, and any other questions I'll be happy to take, and then we'll conclude. So somebody wants to take football as a career because CA exams are so daunting. I know this is one of the toughest exams. I have many CA friends, so I really hats off to you guys. So continue, yeah.
CK,
yeah.
Thank you very much for educating us. I am experiencing the troubles of using humor because I have taken the engaging humor path.
Correct.
So my question is, when you attempt humor and it fails in a speech, what steps can you take, at least in your mind, to overcome that and proceed?
Okay. Yeah. This has happened to me, Safir. That's why I'm saying with some confidence. Many times I have prepared so well thinking that this is going to be a hit, and I've received tepid response. And initially, my body language, my face used to show the disappointment, but I quickly used to cross over and say, I have something else to offer to you. It comes only by practice, Safir. There is no instant cure or a miracle. You just need to understand that maybe this time I failed. I go back and then find out what was the reason. Was it a lack of delivery, or did I not say this with confidence? So many things could matter. So move on and say, I have something more to give in the speech, so I'll focus on that. But there will be a momentary pause. But now what? That's why I told you, you say it with a straight face. You don't. The audience doesn't even know that you're trying to crack a joke, and you can easily pass off as if it was just a casual speech. It takes time, Satyat. Now today, with the advent of YouTube, the virtual format, take part in as many clubs meetings as possible, getting an opportunity to speak and see how it is being received. That will be a good lesson for you.
Yeah.
Just
to add on, CK, probably following the path itself will give you 14 or 15 such opportunities of presenting different speeches and trying out different variants.
Yes, definitely. Suja has a very interesting question. If half of the audience didn't understand, what should I do as a joke master? Is it really my problem? Not at all your problem. Probably my guess is the other half has got a drubbing from their spouses, and they're sitting there with a poker face. It has got nothing to do with you. Don't worry. Have that confidence. So let me also tell you, jokes are not at all universal. See, in spite of your best efforts, there will be at least 5 people who will say, oh, I've heard this before. You can't do anything about that. Please make sure you have at least a majority of the audience, or even 40% of the audience who enjoy what you're doing. That is your success. You don't have to worry at all. Like I told you, the difference between a stand-up, you should be worried if the stand-up act only 50% laugh. Then there is some serious problem with it. But otherwise, as a speaker using humor, you don't have to worry that nobody is, half of them are keeping silent. It's okay. The problem could be something else. Like I told you, the focus on you, everybody thinks everybody is focusing on you. No, they are more worried about what they will do when they come on stage. Yes, sir.
CK, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not a question actually.
Yeah.
I was addressing a Bangalore audience and I went prepared with a joke. It's something like husband and wife wife asking the husband that for the first marriage of her first daughter, husband just sold his one kidney. Then what about the second? This was the question asked by the wife, and husband said, wife was asking the husband actually, what will you do for the second daughter's marriage? For whom are you keeping the other kidney for?
Okay.
This was the joke, but to my utter disappointment, there was not even a single laughter from the audience. Physical meeting only, in person. I was so desperate, and I said, I told this story because as district officer, we have already donated our one kidney. Now it is up to you. At this point, I still don't know. There was a huge laughter. What should be the reason? That was an unintended, because I was so desperate. I said, our time is over. We have already donated a kidney. Now it is for you, audience members, to donate yours. This is what I said. I still don't know what made the audience laugh at that point. Actually, that was not the climax at all. What is the reason, sir?
I'll tell you. As I can guess, now let me be very frank, brutally frank, Mr. Nagarajan.
Yeah.
Husband and wife jokes have become so commonplace that people have got fed up of listening to this. Now, really, because wife's, gender bashing has become the norm. So people don't really relate to this. They pass it off. But the moment you related this to your role, the moment you said, what are you going to do? They were able to relate to this, because each of the district officers must be going through so many problems. And so they were able to immediately relate to you and said, yes, now it's making sense. In the case of the husband and wife, he said, oh no, what is he talking? This is something that we've heard umpteen times. I'm just telling you, not a reflection of what you did, but that's what. The more specific your humor, the more terrific it. And you managed to connect at that particular point. So I think that's something that we need to. The husband and wife jokes, boy, girl, although I'm sorry to say that in the speech contest, this is what gets the maximum laughs. But I've seen a distinct improvement in many district contests where people are talking about something beyond all this. In fact, in Dubai, one of the Dr. Matthew Jacob, I think now he's resettled in Bangalore. He's a pediatrician. So some people come knocking when he was in Dubai, Saudi Arabia. People come knocking and said, sir, we want you to come and look after, there's a delivery case. The woman has labor pains. He says, no, I'm a pediatrician. I have small babies. And those guys, yes, there is a small baby inside that mother's womb. So you have to come. They drag him. And then he finds that it is a cow. And he says, what is this? What do you mean? He said, yeah, a cow is also a woman. I know it goes on like this. And the best part is Dr. Matthew Jacob used a lot of accent and all that. It had nothing to do with husband and wife. And needless to add, he won the first prize. You should invite him in one of your meetings. Brilliant. So choose better themes. There are so many themes to talk about. But what you did well was to relate this to what the people are. In fact, you've given me a very good, idea, because this evening, just after this, I have to rush to a region meeting where the district leaders, we have to talk about conflict resolution. They say every morning I wake up to a conflict. And my challenge is to give them some tips, and I'm going to use the kidney example. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, CK. That answers. Anyone wants to ask a question? Please either raise your hand or unmute and ask, please.
Sir,
I think,
this might
Hari.
not be about humor as such. It's about the Roastmaster sessions that we can hold.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Rajat, we tried holding a Roastmaster session, and the biggest discussion was how to roast people without offending them.
Yes. Yeah.
And that in itself was a very huge challenge for us. Like finding out details where we can make fun of it, but won't be taken personally.
Right.
Can you give us some suggestions for that?
No, I personally, we have been, since 2009, we have been indulging in roast. My club member Francis and I, we first did this in Colombo District Convention. The important point about roasting is, please run the script with the person whom you're going to roast and get his or her approval. If you have good relationship, they will not bother at all. Because Francis and I started roasting each other. We were on stage and we roasted each other. I said, my friend Francis is like God. He is rarely seen, but if he achieves anything, it is considered a miracle. No, something like this. But all the entire script was run through before with him. So please do that, so there is less chances of them getting offended. Don't spring a surprise, because what will happen? They may suddenly be, they get upset with because people may laugh in a different manner. That's all.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
But that's a wonderful, that is the heightened form of humor. First of all, if you can roast somebody with class, that itself takes talent. If you can accept this and enjoy the roast, that calls for even better taste and class. Yes.
Thank you, sir.